the Praetorian Guard, the cast of The Last Jedi.
Give it up! Give it up!
Nobody's ejecting anybody who makes trouble, so that goes for John Boyega. All right, so I'm going to bring them up one by one. We're going to begin with Rian Johnson, the writer-director of The Last Jedi. Mark Hamill, young Luke Skywalker. Adam Driver, Kylo Ren. Oscar Isaac, Dameron. John Boyega, Finn. Kelly Marie Tran, character, Laura Dern plays Admiral Holdo. Domhnall Gleeson, General Hux. Christie as Captain Phasma. And Andy Serkis as himself. Welcome to the press conference, guys. Thank you all for being here, joining together in one place to talk about this movie, which you guys have seen, but they have not. They have a lot of questions for you. I'll begin with one that I hope you can all chime in on, and that's just the tone of this movie. This is a sequel to The Force Awakens, but it's also episode 7 in a series. So Rian, what would you say differentiates The Last Jedi from The Force Awakens, but also The Empire Strikes Back as a second chapter in a trilogy?
Well, and first of all, thank you guys for all coming. This is very, very exciting. So yeah, it's it's a second movie in the trilogy, and I think we've been kind of trained to expect it'll be a little darker, and obviously it looks a little darker. And the thing is, though, for me, I loved the tone that was established of the original films, and also that J.J. captured in The Force Awakens of fun. And that's like, to me, it's a Star Wars movie. First and foremost, we were trying to make it feel like a Star Wars movie. And that means you have the intensity and you've got the opera, but it also means that it makes you come out of the theater wanting to run in your backyard and grab your spaceship toys and make them fly around, and that's a key ingredient to it. So we're going to go to some intense places in the movie, but I hope also it's fun. It's fun. I don't know, you've seen it.
Yeah, you guys. Well, for some of the cast who was in The Force Awakens, how would you say this film feels differently?
My answer will be in direct proportion to the amount of screen time I have.
Yes. Like a whole other movie.
Oh, guys.
John, how about you?
Sorry, what's the question?
Question is, how would you say this film feels different from The Force Awakens? What sets it apart from that film?
I just think that the story's moving forward. I just feel like that JJ had a little blueprint, a foundation, Force Awakens that was pretty good, and now it's about moving forward with the story and just challenging the characters. And all the characters are under intense pressure, and so it's a time in which everyone has their own specific reckoning. It's all different. It's like a lot going on. I've only watched it once, and the first thing is that I want to watch it again because of the amount of information and Easter eggs in it as well.
Yeah, I think the thing as well is that with often with the second chapter in a story of 3, because the first one kind of sets the tone and the world and the new characters, it introduces them. In the second one, you don't have to spend so much time doing that. You can really just delve into the story, into what's happening. Like John said, the conflict of each of the characters. I think what Ryan's done so incredibly well is that he's challenged deeply every single character, including the droids, with like the biggest challenges they've ever faced, and that's how you're able to really get to learn about them on all sides of the spectrum, from light to dark. It's like he's found a way to get to the central point of that character and try to challenge them as best as he can. I think it's really amazing. Really fun.
Daisy and Adam, do you have any thoughts on how the film feels different?
I agree with that. Thank you.
I think the biggest thing for me when I read the script, because there's, even though you try and avoid what people are saying, it's hard to, and because people responded well to John and I as a team, I was a bit nervous about not being a team so much in this one. So I think for me personally, it was a challenge. The film was a challenge, and it was, I don't know what it was like for anyone else, but to be in different combinations of people. So in itself, we're already, we're in different situations, we're with different people that we are learning about, we're meeting for the first time. So yeah, felt pretty different.
Let's hear from the bad guys. The bad kids always sit in the back. Domhnall, Gwendoline, Andy, any thoughts on just the tone, how this movie it distinguishes itself among all the different Star Wars films?
I mean, I was blown away when I saw the movie. I just was so caught up with it, not least because it was really intimate and very emotional, and I wasn't expecting that at all. I mean, I knew obviously that it was going to go that way, but it's very, very powerful, and it touches you. And what Rian's done incredibly is make this dance between tonally dance, between these great kind of epic moments and hilarious antics, literally flipping on a dime and then going right into the heart of these beautiful characters and you really caring. And I think that was, for me, I think has been, that's my takeaway. It was just an extraordinary viewing.
I was delighted by the film, and what I was surprised by was that Star Wars has always been, I think the reason why it's resonated with us all so deeply is that it's our foundation story of good against evil, and where that balance is, and how we see elements of characters we've never seen before, things that can be unexpected. But there is something about this film, and I think it's because the world that we live in is a changing and evolving place, that it retains the simplicity of those elements, but it really resonates with what it is to follow your own human, dark, narcissistic tendencies, where that will take you. And I love that. And it's done so beautifully, aesthetically, too.
I didn't go to the screening, so...
he had a thing. I'm excited you're going to see it.
Any sense of just performing in it?
No, that's why I wanted to wait to see it with a huge crowd and see it the way I saw the Force Awakens, which is just with a lot of people losing their minds. But then I heard these guys lost their minds, so I was kind of annoyed I didn't go.
I'd like to talk to some of the newcomers to the Star Wars universe, and that includes you, Rian. You're the boss, but you're also the new kid in a way, coming into this.
I'm like the new boyfriend at Thanksgiving dinner.
Well, from what we don't know a whole lot about Admiral Holdo, but we know she's kind of the new boss. She's a new leader in the Resistance. Is there a little bit of you in Admiral Holdo?
Oh, I would be thrilled if there was. Laura Dern could represent any part of me in life. I would be thrilled. Yeah, Holdo. I mean, Laura. I've been wanting to. It's a dream to get to work with her, and the character that she plays and all of its glorious purple-haired wonder. We were really able to dig in and do some really exciting, fun stuff. And Laura, I know that at the moments on set where suddenly you would catch my eye, you would say, "This feels like we're making an independent film." Those were the moments that I was yeah, it kind of does, and I think that feels really good, and that kind of intimacy of the process, I think. I don't know, if Laura Dern's telling you that, then you may be on the right track, I guess. But yeah, I agree.
Kelly and Laura, I know you're there to do a job and be professional, but is there any part of you that geeks out a little bit when you start working on a Star Wars film?
Every part. Every part. I'm trying not to cry right now because this is so weird and different. Yeah, I feel like Ryan has said this before, but it definitely feels like you have to find a way to just do the work, and and kind of block everything out, but then C-3PO comes up and you're like, oh, so you're constantly figuring out how can I figure out how to work in this environment, and then you're like, but also this is awesome. So it's kind of a balance, right? Yeah.
And just to add to that, what Rian spoke to, that he does so beautifully, as well as Andy was describing, the intimacy of discovering each character's conflict, which is just extraordinary given the enormity of the cast, that he gave us that in the experience of the workplace. And it was shocking. And Oscar and I always talked about just how stunned we were that we were in such a massive environment and did feel like we were, making a indie movie, and you were always encouraging us to try things and explore character and explore this duality of the light and the dark within characters. The movie speaks to so beautifully, not just that there are alternative universes, but that lies within, which seems to be the place that George Lucas first started, the mythology of that, and it's just so brilliant. And a group of us sitting together watching it for the first time was amazing, because it was like we were with 3,000 people. We were standing up, crying. You missed something.
But I want to ask Domhnall and Adam about your two characters, Hux and Kylo Ren, had a really interesting relationship in The Force Awakens that I understand is expanded on in this movie, where Snoke sort of plays them against each other. They're allies, but not really. I wondered if you two could talk about their bond or lack thereof as we enter this film.
I think it's definitely, there's a competition, and it's maybe yet to be discovered where that comes from. I mean, if anything, I think that's more of a testament to kind of what everyone has been saying of Ryan's inability to not mind the character in every moment, which seems like an obvious thing, but he doesn't. So he knows that spectacle, it won't mean anything if you don't care about anything that's going on. Again, it seems very obvious, but I think it's a really hard thing to balance with this many moving parts in the scale of something like this. So I love playing those scenes, especially with Domhnall, because he's a great actor, and there's nothing is kind of taken for granted where, this happens and it moves on. If anything, Ryan slows the pace, and there's not a moment that's taken for granted. It's always broken up into little pieces, and the story in our minds comes first before an explosion.
Is there like a corollary in our world to the relationship that they have?
That's dangerous water.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it. I think
like rival co-workers or brothers.
Oh, I see. I don't know. I think it's funny, like there's just such a huge amount of drama going on in that group of people, but then also just a huge amount of bitchy infighting as well, which I think is really fun to see them kind of really hurt each other from the inside as well as from the outside. The united front thing is difficult for them sometimes. But it was just, I'm not going to, I think it's just a privilege to be in the film.
It's very good. I think we'll open it up then to the audience for some questions. And just raise your hand, we have some microphones.